Hey friends, Shug Bury here, and we have a topic that you need to hear on Women's Hot Topics. It's a dear one to my heart. It's important and urgent that we get this out there, and I want to share with you what this topic is. We've got Abby Johnson on with us today, and the first time I had heard of Abby was when I was watching the National Republican Convention in 2020, and she took the stage and began to decry her former employer and speak out against abortion rights in the country. I was mesmerized by her very well-crafted words, her professionalism, and her ability to rally the listeners around her passion against abortion. We have invited her on several times before, and each show is unique. We did one on show number 187 on abortion, and then there were none, and number 208. Which is the battle over abortion, the Roe versus Wade issue. And please listen to those earlier shows because they're vital and they're so important. And this is how she has arrived here for a time such as this. And I have invited Abby back on today because there is an urgent message she has, and she truly wants to invite you to join her. People often jest and say this is, life or death. Well, I'm telling you, it is life and death, friends. So I truly mean it. And I believe that God brought you here, friends, to listen to this show right now for a time such as this. I've always been a straight shooter, friends, and I believe God will hold us accountable on our actions and our inactions. Abby Johnson, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on, Shug.
If you're on YouTube with us, you can see that she is a woman of action and she's a multitasker, as most mothers are. She has got, how many kids do you have?
I have 8.
8 kids, and she's married, and she's running this organization as well. And would you tell us a little bit about yourself, Abby?
Yeah, so like you said, I'm a mom of 8 and a wife. My kids are just the most awesome thing in my life. And so, yeah, I'm here in my car. I just picked up 4 of my boys from a camp that they were at for a week. So we're, here multitasking with my kids. But I just, I had to come on and talk about this project that we've worked on for so long and has been part of my life for 8 years. And yeah, I mean, I'm a pro-life activist, pro-life advocate. I worked in the abortion industry for 8 years. And so, now part of my heart and what I do and what I'm passionate about is going out and helping people understand the damage of abortion, but also helping them understand the healing that can come if you've participated in abortion, if you've had an abortion. I'm a woman who's had 2 abortions, so I understand what drives a woman to have an abortion, and I also understand the healing that can come through Christ Jesus if you have had an abortion, and the mercy and the forgiveness that he's waiting to give.
Now, she in 2012 founded And Then There Were None, and it's the only ministry that helps abortion workers leave their jobs and find new ones out of the industry. And to date, they have helped over 570 abortion workers quit their jobs. I mean, I just think, wow, 570. I mean, amen for that. She founded Pro Love Ministries and Loveline in 2019, and she has a best-selling book, which became a feature film, which I watched, broke my heart. My husband watched it with me, called Unplanned. She has a podcast called Politely Rude. I love that title. That is such a great title. Politely Rude. That would be something that would be right up my alley. She's the author of Fierce Mercy in 2022, co-editor of Life to the Full in 23. And again, she had mentioned she's got 8 kids with her husband, Doug. So I want you ladies to mark on your calendars if you can. Some of you women are able to work at spur of the moment, and I want you to mark down June 23rd to the 25th. The reason Abby is on with me today is there's an annual pro-life women's conference, the only conference in the whole entire country specifically for pro-life women in St. Charles, Missouri at the end of June. And it's the only conference that focuses solely on women and the roles in pro-life movement. Is this the 8th annual, Abby?
Yeah, this is our 8th conference. And, I started this 8 years ago. I was actually at my mom's house with some of my friends about 10 years ago. And I was like, there's no conference that's specifically for women. I mean, if you look at the pro-abortion movement and kind of this choice movement that's out there, they are directing the narrative, right? They're directing the narrative and movement in the media. They're out there saying that women need abortion. They're out there saying that, you know, if you're going to be pro-woman, then you must be pro-choice. And I just thought, that's not true. That's a complete lie. And all of my friends are pro-life and they're women. And I thought, we need to take that narrative back. But we have to organize. We have to work at this. And one thing that the abortion movement is really, really good at, they're really good at organizing. They're really good at strategizing. They're good at coming together. I remember in 2016, when the Women's March, it was the first Women's March, they organized and they had, you know, over 100,000 women come together in DC. And then just a couple weeks later in Detroit, they announced, I mean, literally in 2 weeks, they announced that they were going to have their first ever Women's March conference in Detroit. And Shug, in 2 weeks, they had over 4,000 women come together in Detroit at this working conference. They strategized, they came together and they made things happen. And they directed that narrative around the Women's March. And I thought, oh my gosh, these women, they're willing to sacrifice, they're willing to do whatever they have to do to come together and to direct this narrative that women need abortion. And I thought, we have to do the same, but we have to do it in a life affirming way to tell women that they don't need abortion. And I thought, that's what's missing in our movement. We don't come together and strategize. We don't come together and organize. And so I started looking around and I actually looked up the website Pro-Life Women. And I thought, is that website available? And it was. And so I bought the website and we started organizing the conference. And I couldn't believe that there wasn't a pro-life women's conference out there after 50 years of fighting this battle. And so we got it together and it has been such a blessing over the past 8 years. And it is different than any conference you've ever been to.
So tell me about some of the speakers or a little snapshot of the topics or, you know, what does it look like? You call it a working conference. What does that look like and who can be invited?
Yeah, anybody can come. So we say it's a women's conference, but we do have men who come. So men are welcome. We're not discriminatory. So we do have quite a few men that have started to come because they're like, you know what? You have some of the best pro-life speakers in the country coming. We're not going to miss it just because we're men. So we do have some men that come. It's open to anybody. Teenagers come, kids come. It's a great opportunity for moms to come with their daughters, for them to start learning at a young age how to be an activist in this movement. It's for people who work in pregnancy centers. It's for moms. It's for anybody who wants to learn more about the pro-life movement. Now, I say this is a working conference because it is. We figure out how to best go back into our communities, how to go back into our states and get active. So we have, it's not just coming together and being like, rah, rah, let's be pro-life together. No, we have mission points. We have activism points. So we want to give you things to do so that you can go back into your state and implement them. So you can go back into your community and implement them. And so we do that every year. And we talk about state policies. We talk about things you can do in your community. We have huge networking sessions so that you can figure out who's in your state so that you can network with. There are lifelong friendships that are made at this conference. And it's amazing to see. We have women that came to the first conference, which was in Dallas, and they come together every year. These are people that live in different states. So I know that there's a woman that lives in Dallas, and she met a woman that lives in Maryland, and they have become best friends, and they come to the conference every year together. They meet up at the conference every year together, no matter where it is. Those are the kind of friendships that you make at this conference. It's unique. It's different. It is full of worship. We are unabashedly Christian at this conference. And so it's full of worship. It is so Holy Spirit driven, and it's cheap. It's only like $140 to attend, and we
Yeah.
feed you the whole time. So you don't have to worry about eating. We feed you good food while you're there. And
Awesome.
it's a great deal. And you would be so blessed to come.
Now, friends, mark June 23rd to the 25th, St. Charles Convention Center in St. Charles, Missouri. And the topics that, some of the topics that I have listed down are abortion pill reversal, sex trafficking, what the meaning of sexual freedom is, how to change minds in a post-Roe America, and the panel of former abortion workers. And it sounds like it is some of the best speakers around on pro-life movement. What are you hoping to accomplish? I know you've talked about going in and activating and going into the states, but I am asking on behalf of our listeners, what are you hoping to accomplish by the end of the conference?
So, I mean, we are living in a post-Roe America now, right? So that looks different. Our country looks different. We are dividing up the conference this year by states where abortion is illegal, and states where abortion is not. And so we have completely different tracks when we go into our networking and our state activism. So we have different tracks for those different states. So we're going to be focusing on different things in the states, obviously, where abortion is still legal and where it's not legal. So, we have different pregnancy help resource information for states where abortion is illegal, right? We need to help those women in a different way. They may be looking at traveling out of state to have an abortion. So what does that look like for us as we're witnessing to them, as we're talking to them? Where abortion is still legal, we need to be talking to them in a different way. We also have a really special focus this year on miscarriage loss. So Donna Murphy is with an organization called Heaven's Gain, and she has gone state by state, and she has listed out the laws regarding the burial of remains if a woman has a miscarriage. And so one of the things that we're asking women to do in their own state is to advocate for women who have had a miscarriage loss, women who have lost their baby to miscarriage. If they have to go in a hospital and they have to have some sort of miscarriage management, for these women to be able to have their babies and bury their babies. It's amazing, Shug, how many women are denied the right to have their babies from the hospital and bury them. And so that's one of the key points that we're focusing on this year, is legislative reform with miscarriage. And so that's one of the things that we're looking at as well. We always have a focus on adoption every year. So we're having an adoption panel this year. We're going to be talking to birth mothers. What do birth mother rights look like? How do we reform that state by state? So we have so many things that, there is something at this conference that will pique everybody's interest.
I love it.
So,
That's
so
great.
many personal testimonies, and always a focus on healing. So, if you're an activist in this movement, you have to recharge your own heart. You have to recharge your own spirit. And so there's always a big focus on healing ourselves and healing our own hearts.
Yes. Remind us, please, where they can register, and where do they go for that? What website?
Yeah, it's just prolifewomen.com. You can get all the information there. We have the schedule, we have speaker bios, all kinds of information about the conference, the location, addresses, our hotel block, where you can book your rooms. Everything is there at prolifewomen.com.
Now, if there's someone who can't make it down there, how can they be involved? How can they connect? How can they find out more, possibly about what you talked about at the conference?
Yeah, so we're going to have a lot of that listed on our website. We're also going to track a lot of this stuff on social media. So we have Pro-Life Women's Conference pages on social media, on Facebook, Instagram. So be looking at that. We're going to be posting, a few of the sessions online. We don't live stream because, like I said, this is really a working conference. So live streaming it kind of wouldn't make sense. You sort of need to be there
Yeah.
to experience it. But we will post a few of the breakout sessions online. So I would go and follow our page on social media.
So how can we be praying for you coming up?
I would be praying, you know, Satan loves to attack travel and he loves to attack electronic problems. So I would be specifically praying for travel, for the attendees that are coming. You know, he loves to put a kink in people's plans. So I would just ask that people be praying for our presenters, that they can get there, that there's no, you know, messing up their plans, that the enemy stays away from that everybody stays healthy, and that the people that are planning on coming, that they're able to get there without any snags.
Yeah. Yeah. We're just going to be praying that everything goes seamless and the enemy is bound from anything that he's thinking of. And women, if you've had an abortion in the past, I can tell you right now, especially after interviewing Abby several times, there is peace. There's reconciliation, there's second chances. I mean, I don't want you to feel like, well, my past defines me, because you take today and you start moving forward in Jesus Christ. So Abby, thank you so much for coming on. And thank you for fitting us in on your busy schedule. I know you've got a lot going on, but hopefully someday we'll have you back again and you can give us an update about how things are going and what the latest news is as far as ending abortion altogether in the whole world.
Anytime. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you, Abby. Friends, you know I love you. This is Shug Bury, over and out.